there's a huge difference, I think, when you look at, the soldiers fighting a battle at war compared to us walking into a field playing cricket. But in saying that, a big part of, that culture, that environment, that mateship that they, the soldiers have created, the Anzacs created, we try and follow that in a team sport. We talk about being in the trenches with your mates, knowing you can turn to them, and that all comes from, the Anzacs that come before us.
This photograph was taken by Charles Bean, the official war correspondent and later war historian, and he took it on the 17th of December 1915 at a place called Shell Green on the Gallipoli Peninsula. The match itself was staged in a way as part of tactics to convince the Turks that all was well in the Australian camp. But the photo was actually taken just 2 days before the evacuation. So these men were actually in the process of preparing to leave this site, and they wanted the Turks to think that everything was okay. It's always been a photograph which historians and curators and people interested in the campaign have known about. But there has been, an increase of interest in sport and its impact during war, and it's really sort of blossomed. And I think Steve Waugh taking his team there on their way to the Ashes has really sort of made it an important image as well in the popular consciousness.
I knew when we went to Gallipoli that it would be nice to try and reenact the photo with the Australian side, and we had that opportunity and we had it set up. We found the exact place where the photo was. And we got the players in the exact or similar positions as we could as the original photo, and we had some fun taking the photo. So it's something that maybe we'll look back on time and realise how significant that was. But when we did it, it was great fun, and it was a good way to pay respect to our past.
I think it was really important for all of us that day to try and put ourselves in the positions of the people that were actually there fighting that battle. We were there having a look round, many years after one of the Great World Wars had taken place, and where it all happened. So I think it was important that we try to imagine what it was like to have been there and then, and put ourselves in the position of some of these Australian soldiers that gave their lives up for us. We copped a bit of criticism as a result. And it wasn't so much just for that photo. We had our baggy greens on in that photo, but at different times we'd been given slouch hats to wear in the trenches as well. And I think that was the one thing that really sort of got people a little bit offside with what we were doing, because they felt it wasn't for us to be doing that. And looking back now, that's probably pretty fair criticism, I think. But it wasn't as if we went there with the plan to be in the trenches with the slouch hats on. They were presented to us there and then, and probably for media reasons more than anything else, to make it really look like we were there as Australians, almost going into battle. So I can realise why people got upset about it, but we did what we did, and we thoroughly enjoyed our experience there.
A lot of people call us everything else, but we are cricketers and human beings, and I think to experience what we've experienced here, the history and the tradition, the courage that the Anzacs showed, really does make us a lot more aware of our heritage.
Yeah, it's a great experience, and we're learning a lot as the day progresses, so I think that the side will take a lot out of this and become stronger as a unit.
The Anzac spirit is obviously very special, not only to me but to all Australians. I think the camaraderie, the friendship, the mateship is something that is vital in your life, and I think the soldiers of the Anzacs represent that more than any other team, I guess, that we've ever had in this country. And I think as a sporting team, you look up to the soldiers because of that spirit, because of that mateship, and you try and build that camaraderie amongst your team.
I think it's where the spirit of Australia came from, and you can just see that, the sacrifices that the diggers made at, Gallipoli was really almost the birth of the nation. It's where we got our character, our spirit, and what we are today was really born out of Gallipoli. So for me, it was a great great place to visit. I learned a lot. I learned a lot about our past, and I think what shapes us as a nation going forward.
The thing that was really rammed home to us on that trip was, just what the Anzac spirit was really all about. And I think when you think back to what we learned there and then, it really does typify even the modern Australian person. I've been lucky enough to travel around the world and play cricket against a lot of opposition teams and in a lot of different countries, and you just don't see that same sort of spirit in a lot of people from other countries. You know, the will to want to do whatever you can for your mate and help your mate out in times of crisis. You look at what's happened around Australia the last few years with the floods in Queensland and the bushfires and things like that, where local communities get on board and help each other out. I think that's all a remain, if you like, or a leftover of what the Anzac spirit really brought to modern Australia. Being able to help your mate out, and whenever you're confronted with something that you think might be too big and too hard for you, that there's always a way to get it done, knowing what those guys went through. Even the thought of talking about going into battle, I think, is just something that is so different between what those guys experience and what we do playing a game of cricket or playing sport for our countries. Look, yes, we want to win, and yes, we're out there fighting and doing the best that we can for our mates, but at the end of the day, we're playing sport, and those guys had their lives on the line every single day. Me being one of the remaining survivors, if you like, of that tour, it's really important that I impress those things on the new generation of players coming through.
You learn about it at school, but I think when you get involved in a team sport, it becomes more special to you because you realise and understand how important your mates are beside you. And I think that goes as far as even the New Zealand team. You see our battles on the field, we're so competitive, but we have that friendship. And I think that, a big reason for that is because of what's come before us with the Anzacs.